Whoop, that's the wrong one. All right. Okay. Hold on. All right. Okay. That was frustrating. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected and sometimes not so much. But thanks, guys, for being here. We are live on Rockfin, as far as I can tell. We're live. Come watch me on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Early chatters are definitely in and present. Good day to you. Good day, fine people. How's everybody doing? Poppy Davis says, if governments are doing geoengineering now, it ain't working. It's an interesting take, and I've thought of that as well. I thought about that as well, and that's why I kind of don't. Well, there's two possibilities in my mind. One is, if there is geoengineering, it's not massive enough or widespread enough to really help, the general chaos we're seeing because of climate change, right? We're not, obviously climate change is affecting the planet in negative ways, and we're not, if we're using geoengineering, we're not really, I think it's probably on a very local level. If geoengineering is being used, it's very local. So it's not helping the planet as a whole. My other thought is that maybe there is something to the idea that the elites are waiting for a massive die-off of human beings, and then they'll kind of come back and take control because they can control the weather or the planet. Again, we're starting this video off with science fiction that could be fact. But we'll leave it in the realm of science fiction for now. But, there's this idea that the elites, are waiting for humans to die off. They're waiting for the climate change situation to get really, really bad. And then, a whole bunch of people will perish. And then they'll come out of their bunkers and they'll be like, we got turn on the ray guns. We're going to fix the climate. I don't know. Again, if that's true, that doesn't seem very smart, because how do you know if you're the elites? I mean, it seems like something stupid that the elites would do, right? That just seems like something completely insane that they would think that they could do. They could manipulate the future or the history of the planet and then come out and everybody will be unscathed or something. That sounds like something the elites would think up, would dream up. But in my mind, it seems kind of far-fetched and a little bit and extremely dangerous, right? Like, you're going to destroy the world's climate and then you are really, really sure that you're going to bring it back. It just doesn't add up on so many levels. So I don't know. That's why I'm not really super into geoengineering, is because of those two reasons. If they're already using it, what good is it doing to the planet? It's not doing anything to the planet. And it's, if anything, if you're a Dane Wigington follower, it's screwing up the planet. So why would you do that? Even the elites can't be that stupid. I mean, we have nuclear weapons that could destroy the planet 1,000,000 times over. And the elites of the world know it's a really dumb idea to, let loose a bunch of nuclear warheads. Like, at least they're not that stupid, right? So far, they haven't been that stupid. So they're not stupid enough to destroy the climate of the planet for some weird agenda. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm not really a huge geoengineering person. Do I think they know how to do geoengineering? Yes, I do. Do I think that they might be doing it on a local level? Yes, I do. But I just don't think it's like widespread. I don't think that they have enough control over it to really like make a difference. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sorry to start it off with some weirdness. You know, going into straight weirdness straight away. But you know, whatever. Ross Cobbin says 5 billion fewer people would give them a good shot. Jacob Gordon, the fewer people there are, the smaller the angry mobs the elite have to deal with. Right, you know, so sure. But again, it's just really AOC got a free bunker from Nancy Pelosi. Yes. Probably. You can come stay in my bunker. Oh, thanks, Mama Bear. What's up? Muzza Wuzza. Everybody say hello to the Muzza. The Muzza, the Wuzza. The Muzza that Wuzza. Creative Experiments, watch the documentary Command and Control. We drop nuclear warheads on our own soil. Yes, they are that stupid. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, they are kind of that stupid, but and that's why I don't put the likelihood as very far off that they have some ridiculous idea up their sleeve. But all of that is just wild conjecture at this point, so we'll just leave that there. Yes, the U.S. dropped anthrax on North Korea during the war, and also the United States military forced anthrax vaccines on their own soldiers, and it screwed them up. It's a that's a fact that's well verifiable, but not widely known. That the anthrax vaccine that was given to soldiers did a whole lot of damage, but they don't talk about that much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, But yes, the geoengineering thing, I don't know. I'm like, it's an interesting idea in my mind, and I'm very curious about it at the same time. I don't think it's the main problem we should be worrying about right now. Like, I think geoengineering it's a big problem, but I think it's, somewhere down the ladder of importance. Realize says civil society is hardly more than a conspiracy by the rich to guarantee their plunder. And that is true. That is true. Conspiracy fact. Conspiracy fact. Hold on one second. I know we started late. What's up, Rockfinners, Poppy Davis, Sweetleaf, Urban Hermit, Kevin Shanholzer? Hanging out with me on Rockfin. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get into it. I started late, and I know we went way off into space right at the beginning, and I didn't really mean to do that. But, man, this is a disgusting picture tweeted by Ray Raymond. How long before fish populations are on the endangered list? Fishing fleets and super trawlers are doing a lot of damage to the marine ecosystem. Imagine, look at all those fish. This is just one boat out of thousands. Caught every single day in the ocean. How long has this been going on? For years and years and years. This is why marine populations are down by like 80% or 90%. This is ongoing damage and probably evidence that, you know, there won't be enough fish to pull out of the ocean for very much longer. Interesting and depressing news, but things that we already knew, of course. This is from Climate Home News. From January 4th, majority of countries miss Paris Agreement deadline to increase climate ambition. They missed the deadline. Whoopsie. Thanks, Muzza. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Muzza says, get a bone for your dog. Thank you. The EU, the UK, and Argentina were the only large emitters to present tougher climate targets by the UN's 2020 deadline, with China and the US lagging. Most countries have missed a UN deadline to strengthen their 2030 climate agreement. Guys, I don't know what is going on with my live streaming, and I apologize. Just bear with me. It's just acting real weird today. I wonder why. Anyways, let's go back to this. Most countries have missed a UN deadline to strengthen their 2030 climate targets, the first test of the ratchet mechanism of the Paris Agreement. That Paris Agreement is so ratchet. The European Union's 27 member states and the UK were among 70 countries to submit updated national contributions by December 31st, 2020, in line with a 5-year cycle to close the gap between action and the pact's overall goal to limit global heating. There's those words again, well below 2C, well below. And strive for 1.5C, which we are kind of already at. Like, when are they going to just admit we're already at 1.5? Or we're going to be there shortly. We're pulling into port of 1.5. Latin American countries, including Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru, met the end of the year deadline and enhanced their ambition alongside nearly a dozen each of small island states and least developed countries. Of golly, sounds like these poorer countries who are, concerned about climate change, they're trying to do their best. Together, they account for 28% of global greenhouse gas emissions, 28%, all of these countries, according to the World Resources Institute's tracker. But none of the world's other top polluters submitted tougher carbon-cutting plans to the UN in a year defined by the coronavirus pandemic. China was notably absent from the last-minute flurry of submissions, despite President Xi Jinping announcing incrementally stronger 2030 targets earlier in December and stressing his commitment to the Paris process. Well, there it is. All you need is nice words, We're committed. We're really committed. We're going to really just buckle down here and get committed. Nice words. Nicholas Hone, founder of the New Climate Institute, described the start of the new year as a mixed picture, which looked much better than what was expected 6 months ago, but left a lot to be done in 2021. All right, man. All right. Sounds like some PR gobbledygook. While many countries have failed to enhance their climate plan this year, a growing number of countries are subscribing to a mid-century net zero emissions goal. So they didn't submit plans for upping their goals. They just all announced, we're going to do it by 2050. See how that works? See how that works? If you just say the nice words, you can do a lot of not nice things, and you can miss your targets and kind of blow it in the meantime. But new 2030 measures to reduce the carbon intensity of its GDP Oh, hold on. Let me go back. While many countries have failed to enhance their climate plan this year, a growing number of countries are subscribing to a mid-century net zero emissions goal, Hone said, a positive sign that needs to translate into short-term action. I am optimistic that we can get more ambition going in 2021, he added. China's pledge in September to aim for carbon neutrality by 2060 was the biggest announcement of the last 10 years of climate policy. He told climate, was it? Really? Okay. China announcing a date 10 years later than everybody else. That's the biggest announcement? All right. Again, lots of nice PR massaging there going by this guy. Great news. But new 2030 measures to reduce the carbon intensity of its GDP by 65% from 2005 levels and increase the share of non-fossil fuel energy to 25%, announced at a climate ambition summit last month, fell short of aligning short-term action with Beijing's long-term goal. There you go. China has an opportunity to do more than what it has laid out, said David Waskow, International Climate Director of the World Resources Institute, adding that the country's next 5-year plan, expected in March, could provide part of the basis for a more ambitious NDC. India, Canada, Indonesia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia were among major emitters that didn't submit an updated climate plan by the 2020 deadline. Oopsie. Until President-elect Joe Biden brings the U.S. back into the Paris Accord, which he promised to do on his first day in office in January, the U.S. is not expected to present a climate plan. Russia, Mexico, and Australia merely restated existing carbon-cutting commitments, with Canberra promising to publish a long-term decarbonization strategy ahead of the COP26 climate talks in Glasgow in November. In its submission, where lots of people are going to fly over to Glasgow and go, eat some oysters and do things, drink some sparkling water. That'll be good for the climate. Thanks, guys. In its submission, Australia said it was on track to meet and beat its current 2030 goal without relying on past overachievement, suggesting it won't use old Kyoto-era credits to meet its Paris commitment. Have you all seen that video about them using? I'll have to bust that out. It's pretty funny. Them using Kyoto credits, this is from a long time ago, to state that they were meeting some kind of climate goals. Anyways, Brazil submitted a new plan at the start of December, which effectively weakened its 2030 emissions targets. It removed all reference to stopping illegal deforestation and restoring forests, but included a goal to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. You can't get much more neutral than that. You can't make much more of a bland, neutral statement than that. Carbon neutrality by 2060. We're working on it. Japan and New Zealand reaffirmed their previous targets while promising to present enhanced plans before the Glasgow summit. South Korea translated its 2030 goal into absolute emissions cuts and pledged to enhance its ambition at the earliest possible time before 2025. Okay. Climate Ambition Summit, co-hosted by the UN. It sounds funny to me, the Climate Ambition Summit. Co-hosted by the UN, the UK, and France on the 5th anniversary of the Paris Agreement, provided a spur that jingled and jangled for both the UK and the EU to agree deeper emissions cuts of respectively at least 68% and 55% between 1990 and 2030. This should enable others to follow, said Hone, calling on richer nations like the US, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand to step up their ambition in the months ahead. The critical question is, what can countries do to strengthen action by COP26? Or COP-out 26, if you want to use that hashtag. It's nearly a year to go to COP26, and there should be high expectations that these countries come back with something better by then. Waskow told Climate Home, so far they had little to show, quote unquote, he added. All right, sounds promising. Sounds really positive. You know what I'm saying? Creative Experiment says enhanced plans are very ambitious, I guess. Oh, yeah. Hashtag CopOut26. Yeah, it's lovely. All these, organizations and committees to organize another committee around organizing a study, and then we're going to recommit, and we're going to, have some ambitious, enhanced plans, and then we're going to make commitments and pledge to study and recommit to organizing around some more pledges and studies. You know what I'm saying? It's all very positive. Golly gee. But anyways, in the meanwhile, this is from Scientific Reports, nature.com. An Earth system model shows self-sustained melting of permafrost, even if all man-made GHG emissions stop in 2020. Ouch, what does this mean? This is from November 12th, 2020. The risk of points of no return, otherwise known as tipping points, which once surpassed lock the world into new dynamics, have been discussed for decades. Recently, there have been warnings that some of these tipping points are coming closer and are too dangerous to be disregarded. In this paper, we report that in the Eskimo climate model, the world is already past a point of no return for global warming. Yikes. That would be called a tipping point, at which time there is kind of no going back. In Eskimo, we observe self-sustained melting of the permafrost for hundreds of years. That means the melting that is happening now in the permafrost is self-sustained. It's not going to just stop. Even if we, even if we cease emissions right now. But net zero by 2060, we got it. We got this, we're all good. We're all good. We encourage other model builders to explore our discovery in their bigger models and report on their findings. The melting in Eskimo, I guess this is the model, is the result of a continuing self-sustained rise in the global temperature. The rise in the global temperature is also self-sustained. That's also self-sustained. Okay. This warming is the combined effect of three physical processes. One, declining surface albedo driven by the melting of the Arctic ice cover. Two, increasing amounts of water vapor in the atmosphere driven by higher temperatures. And three, changes in the concentrations of the GHG in the atmosphere driven by the absorption of CO2 and biomass in oceans and emission of carbon, CH4 and CO2, from melting permafrost. This self-sustained in the sense of no further GHG emissions, right? So self-sustained. Take away all the emissions and this keeps going. Melting process in Eskimo is a causally determined physical process that evolves over time. It starts with the man-made warming up to the 1950s. Wow. So they're saying this was triggered in the 1950s. Wow. Leading to a rise in the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, further lifting the temperature. causing increasing release of carbon from melting permafrost and simultaneously a decline in the surface albedo as the ice and snow cover melts. To stop the self-sustained warming in Eskimo, enormous amounts of CO2 have to be extracted from the atmosphere. Whoa. That's, you know. So this isn't, you know, again, this isn't new necessarily information. This is just another model or study saying, you know, this is these triggers or these tipping points have already been reached. You know, this has already been discussed in some circles and already, you know, known. And if this is known, I will further, you know, go further. If this is already known in some circles, then you know the governments of the planet, the governments of Earth, the governments of all the nations, and the militaries of all the nations already know all of this. All of this. They already know and understand. And then what does that mean? You can go, you know, you can use that information how you like or extrapolate from there. What does that mean? They already know this. Yeah, so Basil Peterson said, I met a bunch of little elves that told me we are on the wrong path. They were running away from the North Pole, the elves. Climate refugee elves from the North Pole. Andy the Gardener says, Earth's going to get really soggy. Yeah. Yeah, this is not so good. Sweetleaf says, seems to me someone, the trillionaires, should know what the margins of error for predictions are. Jay Thadcast says, truth at last, we missed our off-ramp. I mean, that is pretty harrowing information, right? We triggered this in 1950. The burning of fossil fuels up to 1950 triggered just the emissions we released until 1950 alone triggered this self-sustaining warming. Ouch. Ouch. For all, for those, and I include myself as one of those people that might think that, there's a possible path out. This really, kind of indicates how difficult that possible path out is, if not impossible. Guys, let's not have any fisticuffs in the chat. Okay, let's chill. We're all on the same team, remember? We can debate and we can disagree. Let's not we can debate, we can disagree. Let's not take it any more than that. Let's see. Basil Peterson says margins of error are the difference between the shallow pool and the deep end. John Allen, oil embargo of 1973 was a stern warning. Yeah, I don't, Oceanic State says on an individual level you can survive a warmer climate. Yeah, but for how long? A warmer climate, and what does life look like? Does it look, you know, the likelihood that it's going to be more like the road and less like, something idealistic is, large. Anyways, J. Thaddeus Isaac Asimov wrote it in the 60s about our guaranteed hot planet. So hot, you'll die without protection. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty brutal. That's a pretty brutal study. Uh, or results, if you will, brutal results from that. Well, let's just stay on the, when it rains it pours. When the news is bad, it's pretty bad. This is from Paul Dawson. Within 5 years, atmospheric CO2 will pass 427. He says within, so he's saying in the next 5 years. I'm going to say it's not going to take us 5 years to get to 427 since we're already at like 419. We peaked out at very close to 420 this year. So, how long is it going to take us to get 7 more parts per million? Probably not very long, maybe a couple years. Within 5 years, atmospheric CO2 will pass 427 parts per million, which was the probable peak of the mid-Pliocene warming period 3.3 million years ago, when temperatures were 3C to 4C hotter and sea levels were, well, get this, 20 meters higher than today. That would be 60 feet if you're playing along at home. What's up? Muzza got us another, we got another super chat from Muzza. Muzza says no clawing in chat. No clawing in chat, cats. Let's look at this article a little bit. CO2 in Earth's atmosphere nearing levels of 15 million years ago. All right. We're making history, guys. Last time CO2 was at similar levels, temperatures were 3C to 4C hotter and sea levels were 20 meters higher. The amount of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere is approaching a level not seen in 15 million years. At pre-lockdown rates of increase, within 5 years, atmospheric CO2 will pass 427 parts per million, which was the probable peak of the mid-Pliocene. But it seems we must now go much further back to see what's ahead. Yeah. Well, and if we just read the article stating that warming is self-sustaining. So is the rise in CO2 for some time. The rise in CO2 will be self-sustaining as well. And the end of that abstract stated, unless we suck that CO2 out of the atmosphere, unless we go backward, unreal, the hands of time, unless we go backward, things are not good. Sometime around 2025, the Earth is likely to have CO2 conditions not experienced since the middle Miocene climatic optimum 15 million years ago, around the time our ancestors are thought to have diverged from orangutans and became recognizably hominoid. Hominoid too. For the paper published in the journal Nature Scientific Reports, a team of researchers from the University of Southampton constructed a new high-resolution record of atmospheric CO2 during the Pliocene using data derived from the boron levels of tiny fossils about the size of a pinhead collected from deep ocean sediments of the Caribbean Sea. This confirmed trends previously observed in ice cores, but also allowed a more precise estimate of the CO2 range in that geological epoch, when levels of solar radiation were the same as today. A striking result we found is that the warmest part of the Pliocene had between 380 and 420 parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere, one of the co-authors, Thomas Chalk, said. This is similar to today's value of around 415 parts per million, showing that we are already at levels that in the past were associated with temperatures and sea level significantly higher than today. Currently, our CO2 levels are rising at about 2.5 parts per million per year. So that would be, let me do a little math, that's 3 years from now that we'll be at 427, right? Am I right? Am I right? Meaning that by 2025, we will have exceeded. So we will be beyond anything seen in the last 3.3 million years. What y'all got to say about that? I don't know. All the climate naysayers, what you got to say about that? Temperature is not linked to CO2. Blah 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 blah. All right. Anyways, yeah. The author said the study of the past provided a guide to what is likely to happen in the future as Earth responds to the buildup of greenhouse gas from the past 2 centuries of industrial emissions. Ice sheets today haven't had a chance to catch up with CO2 forcing. Right, we just haven't caught up yet. Ice sheets, temperature, so many things. We haven't caught up with the amount of CO2 already in the air. We are burning through the Pliocene and heading toward the Miocene-like future, said another of the authors, Gavin Foster, a professor of isotope geochemistry at the University of Southampton. We now have to go further back in time to find situations that are relevant. During the Middle Miocene, ice sheets shrank further and sea levels were much higher than the Pliocene. Foster said this was long before anything recognizably human had evolved on Earth. The steady increase in temperatures in the current era were highlighted on Thursday by a new international collaboration coordinated by the World Meteorological Organization and led by the UK's Met Office. In the first of what will be an annually updated 5-year climate prediction, the scientists noted that there is a 20% chance of the world they're referring to what I read a few months ago from the World Meteorological Organization. There is a 20% chance of the world temporarily reaching 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels before 2025. Well, hold on a second. We already did that. Where's that crap? I don't know. I don't have it handy. I showed you a GIF of last year's temperatures month over month. And in at least 1 month, if not 2, we reached 1.5 globally during the month. So that's already done. 20% chance. This is nice propaganda you guys got there. The study shows with a high level of scientific skill, the enormous challenge ahead in meeting the Paris Agreement on climate change target of keeping a global temperature rise this century well below. Hey, guys, we're going to be well below. Just keep it well below. It sounds so, sounds so comforting, right? The words well below. Well below. We're going to be well below. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not even going to get close. Well below. God. Yeah. Well below 2C above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further till 1.5 C. Guys, we've got this. Good God. Oh my God. Anyways, whatever. Got a little frustrated there at the end. My apologies. Here's some more graphs indicating we are here now. Chukchi Sea daily ice. Here we were in 2020. That would be well below any ice. That's called zero. Well below having any ice. Standard world model runs assumes no major change in physical, economic, or social relationships. This is from the limits to growth charts, right? Four-day precipitation events, Hurricane Harvey. 2018 Bering sea ice. This is two years old. Looking pretty well below. Having us some ice. Well below. Lastly, before Trump gets out of here, he's gonna make sure we can get us some oil. Trump auctions Arctic refuge to oil drillers in last strike against U.S. wilderness. This is from today. In one of its last strikes against the American wilderness, Donald Trump's administration will, on Wednesday, auction off portions of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil drillers. I know people, yes, this is Donald Trump is doing this. This is bad. His administration is doing this. This is bad. But I would like to maybe redefine this. Let me fix this paragraph for you. The United States government, as it does and always will do, is auctioning off portions of the Arctic. They are seeking energy independence, right? It doesn't matter who's president. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. This is all in line with stuff that they do all the time. So, before you get it into your pretty little head, as soon as we get rid of Trump, everything's going to be fine. That guy was bad. But George Bush is okay. He's so, funny. Anyways, this is just in line with what goes on with industrial civilization as run by the U.S. government. The lease sales, in one of its last strikes against the American wilderness, Donald Trump's administration will, on Wednesday, auction off portions of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil drillers. Thanks, Trump. The lease sales are the climax to one of the nation's highest profile environmental battles. The lands on the northern coastal plain of Alaska are home to denning polar bears and migrating herds of porcupine caribou that indigenous communities depend on and consider sacred. But the oil industry has long suspected there's oil in them there hills, that the ground beneath the plain holds billions of barrels of petroleum. Barrels of oil when we want to drink that milkshake. Once the leases in the refuge known as ANWR are sold to energy companies, they would be difficult to claw back. Difficult to claw back. The incoming president, Joe Biden, could, however, discourage development in the refuge by putting regulatory hurdles in the way of drillers. Well, let's see how long it takes him to do that. The refuge has become central to America's debate over how quickly to stop drilling for and burning fossil fuels as the climate crisis accelerates. Climate experts say there should be no new oil and gas extraction as the world is already more than 1 C hotter. But at least we're well below. Hotter than pre-industrial times. Even if humans stopped using fossil fuels today, the planet would continue to heat. All right, at least giving us some truth on that level. All right. Trying to wrap this up, guys. This from Millard Fillmore White House Library. Annals of global heating, hopeful news from Texas, and a remarkable shift. 4 out of 5 Texans say climate change is real. Hey, well, that's good. Do they know how real it is? That's what the problem is. They know it's real. Do they know how real it really is? How real is climate change really? Yeah. Do they know that they have to give up all that good old Texas stuff? Like oil, black gold. Lastly, I want to just cover a little bit of coronavirus weirdness. Again, the last American vagabond doing really good news around coronavirus and vaccines and whatnot. This is interesting out of the Wall Street Journal. Interesting. What does this mean? You tell me. Nearly 72% of certified nursing assistants, 72%, that is major, say they don't want to be vaccinated. A recent survey found. Wow. What does that mean? Does that mean they're all lunatics? Are they all conspiracy theorists? Have they been listening to the wrong people? Or are they questioning the narrative like so many other people are? And that's okay. If you're questioning, you're not necessarily a lunatic. It means you might have a brain in your head, and you might want to be a little bit skeptical. Because just going, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say. It's always the sign that things are going to be great. But this is wild. Ms. Williams, 40 years old, is a certified nursing assistant at the St. James Veterans Home in St. James, Missouri, and she says she is unlikely to agree to get the shots, even though her son is currently ill with COVID. She recently watched a webcast by a nursing home doctor about the safety and benefits of the vaccines, hoping for reassurance, but came away unconvinced. She is still worried that a vaccine might make her anemia worse, and she thinks the shots are being authorized for broad usage too quickly. It's too new. I'm just not comfortable. All right. Very interesting. 72% of people that work in the medical industry are like, yeah, about that. Yeah. We kind of talked about this briefly before. In the New York Senate, there's a bill that hasn't been passed yet, but this is somewhat frightening because this is a bill that requires a COVID-19 vaccine to be administered in accordance with the Department of Health's COVID-19 vaccination administration program and mandates vaccination in certain situations. As in, I'm a healthcare worker and I don't want the vaccine, but guess what? You're going to get it. You are going to get it. You're going to get it and you're going to like it. Take this vaccine. You take this vaccine. New York reports first case of new coronavirus variant. You know what I find really interesting and also coincidental? You know that word coincidence? Like, just, coincidence. Coincidence that this new strain comes out right when the vaccines are rolling out, right? The vaccines are rolling out, and all of a sudden we get this new strain of coronavirus. It's like super communicable, and it's everywhere all of a sudden. Oh, and there's a spike. The vaccine's rolling out, but there's a spike. Oh my God, guys, what's happening? So coincidental. I don't know. And lastly, if you want to be frightened even more, maybe you don't find this frightening at all. Moderna, the maker of one of the newer vaccines, doesn't call its vaccine a vaccine. It calls it an operating system. Recognizing this is from their website, Moderna website. Our operating system, recognizing the broad potential of our mRNA science, we set out to create an mRNA technology platform that functions very much like an operating system on a computer. It is designed so that it can plug and play interchangeably with different programs. This is the vaccine that they are going to give people. In our case, the program, or app, quote unquote, is our mRNA drug, the unique mRNA sequence that codes for a protein. That is not frightening at all, is it? That's just totally super cool, right? It's super cool. This vaccine that is actually might work like an app or might be interchangeable with other things. It's called an operating system. What the entire F is going on? Ah, wild stuff. But is that, I don't know. Are you concerned? Because that sounds a little frightening to me. But no, oh, no, no, no. Nobody's getting any, nobody's getting chipped or nobody's being tracked. No, no, no. All this, like, these crazy conspiracy theories out there. No, no. But Moderna is calling their vaccine an operating system. Nope, nope, nothing to be. Nope, that's not weird. No, 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 totally not weird at all. Yes, Judy Truitt. Is this some sort of bio AI interface? Ding. That's that's kind of where they're going with it. A bio AI interface. That's exactly how that is looking. Anyways, right, Osama, is my television recording this conversation? Indeed. Panzer F4F2 said, "You heard of software? You are the wetware." Chilling. Vaccines are like Bitcoin now. That's right. Creative experiments. They're going up. They are going up. Y'all, yeah. Get some of your Moderna stock while you're buying some Bitcoin. Don't forget. You know what, Judy Truitt, and you just read my mind. The vaccine was considered a bioweapon, not the virus itself. Listen, listen. I was thinking when I was reading that, and I was thinking, okay, this vaccine, they're calling this vaccine an interface, an operating system. What if the effing virus itself is an operating system, right? Huh? 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 You with me there? Oh, we can just, oh, we got a new variant. Oh, we got another strain. Oh my God. We just thought we had it handled, but holy shnikes, here comes another. It's just going to keep mutating over and over and over again. COVID 26 and COVID 57. Yeah. That's not how AI works, your environment. Okay. Well, I guess you know. I guess you know everything. That's fine. Okay. Okay. All right. Um yeah. Yeah, pretty wild though. Pretty wild. Anyways, Jay Thadcast says this is just jargon to sell investors. It's interesting jargon though. Interesting jargon. Anyways, guys, I've run out of time. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I appreciate you hanging out with me on Rockfin, guys, my Rockfinners. Showing up every day, hanging with me. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow at the regular time of 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until next time, peace.